He just wanted a hug. Simple, right? After a long, exhausting day, sometimes that's all we need to feel connected, to be understood, to have someone hold us close and make the world feel just a little bit lighter. But for Adam, that innocent desire turned into something entirely unexpected. It was a chilly Friday night, the kind of evening that made you want to curl up on the couch with a warm blanket and forget about the world for a while. Adam had been through a lot recently. He'd lost his job, his confidence was at an all-time low, and he just couldn't seem to catch a break. His mind was racing, thoughts tumbling over each other, trying to make sense of it all. In the midst of it, one thing stood out more than anything else: the feeling of loneliness. The feeling that no one truly understood the weight of his struggles, the quiet battles he fought every single day. His best friend Emma had always been his rock. They'd known each other for years, shared endless laughs, and supported each other through thick and thin. So when Adam found himself spiraling that night, he knew who he needed. A quick message to Emma, and within minutes, she was at his door, ready to listen. No questions asked. Just there. As soon as Adam opened the door, a wave of comfort washed over him. She was standing there, a smile on her face, but Adam could see the concern in her eyes. He didn't say anything at first, just stepped forward and wrapped his arms around her. The hug was a simple gesture, but it felt like everything. Like he was finally allowed to be vulnerable, to let go of the tight grip he had on his emotions. For a few seconds, he felt safe, like nothing in the world could hurt him. But something shifted. Something Adam didn't expect. Emma's arms tightened around him, just a little more than he anticipated. He pulled back slightly to look at her, his brow furrowed in confusion. She was still holding him, her grip firm, almost urgent. It was as though she was desperate for something Adam couldn't quite put his finger on. The silence between them stretched longer than it should have. Adam felt a strange tension in the air, one that he didn't quite understand. Was he imagining things? Was it just his mind overreacting? He tried to shake off the feeling, but it wouldn't go away. Emma wasn't looking at him the way she usually did. Her gaze had shifted, no longer warm and comforting, but instead, intense. Almost as if there was something she wanted to say, but didn't know how. Before he could process what was happening, Emma spoke. Her voice was low, almost a whisper, but he could hear the hint of something different in it, a vulnerability, something that wasn't there before. Adam. I need to tell you something. His heart skipped a beat. Was she about to confess something? Was it possible that this friendship, so pure and steady for years, was about to change forever? But before Adam could respond, there was a knock at the door. The sound broke the tension between them, and Emma immediately let go of him, taking a step back as if the moment had never happened. Adam was left standing there, heart pounding, wondering what had just occurred. What was she going to say? What did she mean by that strange, urgent hug? The knock at the door was the last thing he wanted to deal with right now. He was already too wrapped up in what had just transpired, too confused to focus on anything else. Who could it be at this hour? Adam glanced at Emma, who was now looking anywhere but at him, her face unreadable. The suspense hung in the air, thick with uncertainty. As he reached for the door, the question lingered in his mind: what had that hug really been about? Was there more to it than just comfort, or had something else started to unfold right in front of him, something neither of them were prepared for? Stay tuned. Adam hesitated for a moment before opening the door. His mind was still reeling from the weird energy that had hung between him and Emma. What had that hug really meant? He felt a knot tighten in his stomach, but he couldn't avoid the knock. Whoever it was wouldn't leave until he answered. He opened the door slowly, trying to clear his thoughts and focus. Standing on the other side was someone Adam hadn't seen in a while, his old neighbor, Tom. "Hey, man, how's it going?" Tom said, offering a weak smile. His eyes, however, told a different story. They were bloodshot, his face drawn and tired. Adam was caught off guard. The last time he had seen Tom was months ago, before he'd moved out of the building. Tom had always been a bit of a mystery, quiet, always keeping to himself. They'd exchanged casual greetings here and there, but nothing that would make Adam think he'd be showing up on his doorstep at this hour. Hey, Tom. What's up?" Adam asked, his voice betraying his confusion. Tom shifted on his feet, looking a bit uncomfortable. "Look, man, I know this might be weird, but I need your help. I've got a situation, and I don't know who else to turn to." Adam frowned. This was the last thing he needed tonight, especially with the confusion still lingering with Emma. But he also knew that feeling of being lost and needing someone, so he stepped aside and let Tom in. As Tom walked through the door, Adam noticed the way he seemed to be constantly looking over his shoulder, as though someone might be watching him. It made the hairs on the back of Adam's neck stand up. He shut the door behind him, unsure of what to say next. "What's going on, Tom?" Adam asked, trying to keep his tone calm. Tom seemed to struggle for a moment before finally speaking, his voice barely above a whisper. I think I'm being followed. Someone's been watching me for days now. I can feel it. I don't know what they want, but it's freaking me out." Adam's mind raced. He had always thought of Tom as a quiet guy, maybe a little eccentric, but this was different. There was something in his eyes that suggested he wasn't exaggerating. He was genuinely scared. "Followed? What do you mean? Are you sure?" Adam asked, his concern growing. "I'm sure," Tom said, his voice shaking. "I've seen them. They're always around, just out of sight, but close enough to make me feel like I'm being watched. I don't know who they are or what they want, but I'm scared, Adam. I don't know what to do." Adam's initial instinct was to dismiss it as paranoia. People got anxious sometimes, especially in stressful situations. But the raw fear in Tom's eyes made it hard to brush off. "You said you've seen them. Who are they?" Adam asked, leaning in, trying to understand. Tom looked around nervously before lowering his voice. "I don't know. I think they're connected to something bigger. Something I didn't even realize I was involved in until recently. I did something, Adam. Something I didn't think would have consequences, but now I'm paying for it." The words hit Adam like a punch to the gut. What had Tom done? And why was he coming to Adam now? This wasn't a simple favor. It was a cry for help. Before Adam could respond, there was a soft knock on the door again, this time louder and more insistent. Adam froze, his heart racing. Who else could it be? Was the person Tom was talking about already here? Tom's eyes widened, panic flooding his face. "That's them. They found me. They know I'm here." Adam's pulse quickened. He could feel the tension building between them. The door suddenly felt like a barrier that could be easily broken down. Was Tom just paranoid, or was something truly dangerous closing in on them? Tom backed away from the door, eyes darting nervously around the room. I need to go. I can't stay here. It's not safe. Before Adam could say anything, Tom turned and bolted for the back exit, disappearing into the night. The knock at the door grew louder. Adam stood frozen, caught between confusion and dread. Whatever was happening, whatever Tom had gotten himself into, Adam was in the middle of it now. And he wasn't sure if he was ready for what came next. He glanced back at Emma, still standing silently in the living room, her face unreadable. Whatever had happened between them, whatever strange moment they had shared, it felt like it was part of something much bigger. Something was changing, and Adam didn't know if he was prepared for it. But there was no turning back now. He reached for the door handle. And then, everything went dark. The room plunged into silence, the weight of the knock on the door now mingling with the strange, looming feeling in Adam's chest. He stood frozen, not sure whether he should open the door, wait, or just walk away from it all. His mind was spinning. Tom had just bolted like a man on the run, his eyes filled with fear, but why? What had he gotten himself into? And now, with the door threatening to give way to whatever was out there, Adam couldn't shake the feeling that he was in over his head. He turned slowly to Emma, who hadn't moved since Tom had left. Her face was pale, her hands clenched tightly at her sides. Her eyes, though, were full of something Adam couldn't quite place as fear. Worry? It was like she knew something that he didn't. Emma, Adam whispered, his voice barely audible. What the hell is going on? Emma didn't respond immediately. Instead, she took a deep breath, glancing at the door before looking back at him, her gaze searching his face. You don't know the whole story, Adam. There's a lot more to Tom than you realize. Adam felt a chill run down his spine. What was she talking about? He'd always thought of Tom as an odd, but harmless guy. Sure, he was a little secretive, but wasn't everyone at some point? This sudden shift, the fear, the strange urgency in his voice, it was a lot to take in. And Emma, why was she so quiet about it all? What do you mean? What don't I know? Adam asked, his frustration mounting. Emma finally spoke, her voice barely a whisper. You've seen how odd Tom's been. The late-night disappearances, the weird people he used to hang around with. He's been involved in something. Something dangerous. I tried to warn him to stay out of it, but he wouldn't listen. Adam felt the blood rush from his face. He had always thought Tom was harmless, just a little eccentric. But this? Dangerous? What was he involved in? What do you know, Emma? Emma hesitated, looking back at the door like she was trying to decide if she should tell him everything. It's not something easy to explain. But you need to understand, Tom wasn't just running from random people. He got involved in something underground, something illegal, and now those people are coming after him. And, Adam, now they're coming after us too. The words hung in the air, thick with fear. Adam couldn't comprehend it all. He wanted to brush it off, tell her she was wrong, that Tom was just paranoid, but the urgency in her eyes told him otherwise. This wasn't just some overblown story. This was real. Suddenly, there was another knock at the door, louder this time. More demanding. Adam's heart skipped. The air in the room felt suffocating. He could almost hear the breath of whoever was on the other side, waiting. They weren't here just for Tom. They were here for something else. Something Adam didn't fully understand yet. Emma's voice broke through his racing thoughts. You need to decide, Adam. Open that door, and you might be dragging yourself into something you can't walk away from. But if you don't, well, you've already seen what happens when you ignore it. The tension between them was thick enough to cut with a knife. Adam glanced at the door once more. Whatever was on the other side, whatever Tom had dragged them into, was closing in fast. And in that moment, he realized he couldn't run anymore. But the question was he ready to face what was coming? The knock on the door was louder now, urgent, almost pounding. Adam's heartbeat seemed to sync with the rhythm of the knock, his mind racing in overdrive. He couldn't breathe. His instincts told him to run, to hide, to lock the door and pretend nothing was happening. But that wouldn't stop what was coming. It never did. Emma's voice was a whisper now, her words barely more than a warning. You have to make a choice, Adam. If you don't act, if you don't open that door, we're all caught in this. The sound of the knock stopped suddenly. The silence that followed was thick, oppressive. Adam's stomach twisted. It was like they were waiting for him to make his move. Waiting for him to choose a side. He took a step back, unsure of what he was about to do. His hands were shaking. He glanced at Emma, but she wasn't looking at him anymore. She was staring at the door, her face tense, her body rigid. For a moment, Adam couldn't tell if she was more afraid of what was on the other side or what might happen if he did open the door. He couldn't ignore it. He couldn't pretend this wasn't happening. Tom's terrified face flashed in his mind, the raw panic in his voice. They're coming for me. Those words echoed in Adam's head, mixing with Emma's cryptic warnings. It was all too much. He didn't understand everything, but the one thing that was crystal clear was that he couldn't escape. Whatever this was, whatever Tom had dragged them into, it was here. The door creaked open slightly, just enough for Adam to see a shadow on the other side. The figure was still there, standing just out of full view, but Adam could feel their presence like a weight pressing down on him. He took a deep breath and reached for the door, his fingers brushing the cold wood. This was it. There was no turning back now. But just as he was about to open it fully, a hand shot out from behind him. Emma grabbed his arm with surprising strength, her grip tightening, her voice shaking. Don't. Please, Adam. Don't open that door. The tension was unbearable now, a storm swirling between them. Adam turned to her, his voice barely a whisper. Emma, what's going on? What is happening? But before she could answer, the door slammed open with such force it almost knocked Adam off his feet. The door swung open with a force that shook Adam to his core, but what he saw on the other side wasn't what he expected. Standing there wasn't some shadowy figure, no faceless enemy ready to strike. It was Tom. His face was pale, his clothes torn, and his eyes wild, filled with a fear that was even more intense than before. Adam, you have to listen to me, Tom gasped, his voice shaky but urgent. They're not who you think they are. They're here for you, both of you. Adam stood frozen, unable to process what was happening. Tom had just run from those people, and now here he was, standing in front of him like nothing had changed, like nothing was wrong. What had happened to him? Why was he back? Before Adam could respond, Tom rushed inside, his hands trembling as he grabbed hold of Adam's arm. "I messed up, man," Tom whispered, his breath ragged. "I made a deal with the wrong people, and now they want something from you, too. They're coming for you both, and there's nowhere to hide." The weight of his words hit Adam like a freight train. What deal? What had Tom gotten involved in? And why was Adam suddenly dragged into it? His mind was racing as he looked over at Emma, her face pale and unreadable. "Tom," Adam began, trying to keep his voice steady, "what are you talking about? Who are these people?" Tom's eyes darted nervously toward the window, like he could feel the danger closing in. "It's too late for answers, Adam. They're already here. You don't get to ask questions when you're this deep in. They've already marked you." Adam's pulse raced. This wasn't just a random series of events anymore. It wasn't just Tom's paranoia. The danger had shifted to them, and there was no way out. A feeling of dread filled the room, thick and suffocating, as Adam realized something even worse was coming. They weren't safe. The room seemed to close in around Adam, his mind scrambling to make sense of everything that had just happened. Tom was still clutching his arm, his breathing shallow, eyes flickering to the door. Emma stood there, motionless, like she was waiting for something to snap. And then, just as the tension seemed unbearable, the door slammed open once more, this time with no warning. Adam whipped around, heart pounding in his chest. But this time, the figures in the doorway weren't shadows. They were real, two men in dark suits, their faces unreadable, their steps precise. Adam's pulse shot up, his body tense, ready for anything. One of the men spoke in a voice that was smooth, almost too calm. "Tom, we've been looking for you. You've gone far enough." Tom's grip tightened on Adam's arm. "No. I didn't mean it, okay?" "I didn't," but before he could finish, the other man stepped forward, his gaze fixed on Adam. "It's not just about Tom anymore. You're involved now, too. And there's no way out." The cold finality of his words hit Adam like a slap. He wanted to run, to scream, but his body wouldn't move. Everything he had feared, every warning, had led up to this. They were trapped. But just as Adam prepared for the worst, Emma stepped forward, her voice cutting through the thick air. "It's too late," she said softly, her eyes hardening. "You don't get to control this anymore." The men froze, their eyes narrowing. Adam's breath caught as Emma revealed a small, silver object in her hand. A key. "This is how it ends," she said, turning it in her hand, the weight of the moment settling like stone in the room. The men's expressions shifted, just slightly, and in that instant, everything changed. Adam's world spun, and nothing would ever be the same again. The men stood frozen, their eyes locked on the small silver key in Emma's hand, the realization dawning on them like a slow burn. For a moment, the room was completely still. Adam's heart raced, but now, there was a strange sense of clarity. He had no idea what that key meant, but the way the men reacted told him everything. Emma didn't flinch. She held the key firmly, as though it was the last thing standing between them and whatever had been hunting them. "You didn't think we were just hiding, did you?" she said, her voice unwavering. "I knew this day would come." The men exchanged a quick glance, their faces tight with frustration. "You think that changes anything," one of them sneered. "You can't stop what's been set in motion." But Emma was already walking toward them, her steps purposeful. "You're right," she said. I can't stop everything. But I can make sure you never get what you came for. With a swift motion, Emma held the key up, and in an instant, the room seemed to warp. The men's faces twisted in disbelief as the air around them crackled, the tension of everything that had built up finally releasing. The door slammed shut behind them, and just like that, they were gone. Adam stood there, trying to process what had just happened. Emma turned to him, her face softening. It's over. They won't be back. Not for you. Not for any of us. As Adam absorbed her words, the weight of everything finally lifted. Tom, still wide-eyed and shaken, looked at them both. You knew all along? Emma gave him a quiet nod. I did. Adam glanced at her, his heart full of questions and gratitude. They were safe. For now. And though the future was uncertain, Adam couldn't shake the feeling that they had just crossed into a new chapter of their lives, a chapter where things might finally start to make sense again.